My guest today is Stuart Whitney from First Step Change Agents, and we talk about sustainability and the things that we can do on a day-to-day basis that make a difference, and the power, the incredible power that as consumers we have to make businesses and governments change.
Yes.
Stuart, how can people find out about you?
So they can go to the Facebook and put in at First Step Change Agents and go to our Facebook page. That's at 1ST Step Change Agents, not ONE. All right, and you'll find us, search for us. You can connect with us through Messenger. We'd love to have a chat, and we'd love you to join a movement for change in our society to leave a cleaner future for future generations.
It's a big conversation. I want you to stay right through to the end because you're going to learn how you can do things better. I'm Robin Cook. This is Stories from the Red Couch. I know you'll love it. Stuart, what's the most important thing to you right now?
Most important thing in my life and my purpose is to leave the planet in a better condition for future generations, to help people understand that we live in a biosphere which has been stable for about 120 million years in the Holocene. And in that period of time, our species has evolved and our society has developed to the stage where it is now, where we've got this standard of living. And then we need to, but that standard of living and that process has producing waste, which is now threatening the continuation of that standard of living. So if I can encourage people to join a movement of change, positive change, so that we can leave the planet a cleaner, brighter, more prosperous future for our grandkids, then that's what's important to me.
Yeah, that's a big task, isn't it?
It is a very big task, and I probably started it 30 years ago, or 35 years ago. I didn't start off there. You know, I was like any other young boy, and I was doing fairly well at high school, and then had pneumonia, fell behind in grade 11, thought I wasn't going to make the grade for university, went through the whole testing procedure, then went and found myself a company to give me a apprenticeship as a diesel fitter, fitter and turner. Whilst I was working there for over the summer break, you know, from when you leave high school and went straight into the workforce. I hadn't actually signed up the apprenticeship papers, but I was working there on my probationary period. Some of the other guys there were going to tech, and one of them I friended. He said, if you get a chance to go to university, go there because there's more girls. Because there's no girls at tech.
That's a good reason.
So about 2 weeks later, I get this offer from Central Queensland Uni to go to university. So I went,
I'm in.
I'm out. And you know, it's that age that, and I've always loved going on an adventure. So I went up to university, and I'm sitting there, and the Chancellor's doing a talk, and there was this brand new course called Aquatic Resource Management. And I was in biology. I had a passion for biology all my life. And when I got there, I saw these students, and they're in this aquatic resource management. The first year was mixed, and then they separated out into strands.
Yes.
And again, I don't like to, it's not a big proud moment of mine, but I just looked at girls in lab coats or girls in bikinis on the reef. It's shocking, but
I know, but that's
boys thinking.
I know, I understand. I understand.
So I thought, well, what's going to be a more enjoyable university? Go to the Reef. And I've always played. My mother always used to. She'll tell you that if there was water around, I was playing in it.
Okay.
Like if there was a puddle, the dam, I was playing in it. I was always doing stuff with water.
Yes.
All my life. So I tell that story for a laugh, but you know, there was a bit in it.
Yes.
And then the lecturers gave us the love for the Great Barrier Reef.
Yes.
There was a lot of us, you know, Bob Hawke, bless his soul, he said, well, let's get the youth into university and off the unemployment. So there was hundreds of thousands of young people coming out of university. Job market was tight, and I thought, well, what can I do pragmatically to help preserve the Great Barrier Reef, which was being gazetted as a marine park?
Yes.
Right, and serve the needs of society. And so I got into the aquaculture industry. And look, you know, there's a lot of people out there in the green movement who look at the aquaculture industry and say it's bad. The Australian aquaculture industry is the world's benchmark for sustainable aquaculture.
Okay.
They do not use hormones, they don't use antibiotics unless it's under vets. The Australian veterinary system is very strict. Like a prawn farm on the Great Barrier Reef, it'll release less nitrogen into the waterways up there because of their bioremediation processes than the average householder does mowing his grass for the year.
Wow, okay.
Right, so it's a very sustainable industry, and if you see Australian prawns or Australian seafood from aquaculture and or the fisheries, because the fisheries are very responsible now and they've become sustainable around Australia, then that seafood is either fished sustainably or farmed sustainably.
Yeah.
So I did that for many years and then found myself teaching in TAFE. So taught many years in TAFE in the vet system, aquaculture, and then I moved on, retrained at Swinburne University and retrained in sustainability. I put around about 3,000 Queenslanders through a sustainability course.
Okay. Okay, so where did you do that?
At Nambour.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Through Sunshine Coast TAFE, the then Sunshine Coast TAFE, now it's East Coast TAFE, and now it's TAFE Queensland.
Yeah, evolution.
Evolution. So I trained all those, put those students through sustainability, and then I got into conservation land management.
All right.
And that's when I realised that, yes, we can train the next generation of eco-warriors or sustainability people or conservation people, and that's good. Those are the 20% who are passionate about society, and we need to keep training that new generation to carry the load. And I always tell my conservation students that they are working on the boundary between society and in the environment.
Yes, that's right. They're very much the front line there, aren't they?
They're the front line, right?
Yeah.
And holding the line. And sustainability has three parts. It has the three pillars, which is the environment,
yes,
which is real, right? And that's the biosphere. So it's kilometres under Earth to the bacteria, which is deep down in our Earth, to the upper stratosphere, the bacteria up there, and everything in the middle, which is living, is our biosphere, and it created the conditions which we enjoy. And then we have society, which is real, right? And it has needs, wants, and desires.
Yes.
And we're part of that system, yet we've kind of lost touch with that. And then we have the economy, which is part of sustainability. So we can either use economy and treat it like something which is real, or we can treat it as a tool, which is what it should be treated as. The economy is a tool to meet the needs of society, and that tool should be enhancing the environment. Okay. Okay,
Yes.
so if we can take that model of sustainability, where money and the economy is the tool that we use to enhance the environment, instead of making it the end game.
Yes, because that's essentially what we do.
Well, people get lost in it because we're taught to work for money.
That's right.
Right.
And then that money is used to give us all of the things that we want that make our lives better, and to the detriment of the environment.
Yes. Well, it up until now, because we didn't understand it. So, you know, we're doing pretty well. So it was really Rachel Carson and Silent Spring in the 60s, which really brought started to bring the attention of the world to the fact that we were a species which was starting to change the biosphere. Right? We were probably the first species for about 360 million years when the great oxygen event happened. When cyanobacteria started to become photosynthetists and the atmosphere changed from nitrogen and carbon dioxide to nitrogen and oxygen.
Yes.
And all the anaerobic organisms happened, right?
Yep.
And then we come along to us, and then we change west. That's when we decided. So really, that's like, I was born in the 60s.
Yes.
So it's one generation. We've woken up to our ways, and we're doing it. And people need to be grateful for our wins, and I think we miss that. I think we miss the wins. If you have a look at any of the archive footage of Los Angeles, and like they used in the 70s, used to have smog alerts where they wouldn't let people outside.
Yep.
The smog was so thick you couldn't see the building across the street.
Yes.
Right?
But now it's not like that.
No, it's not like that.
Yes.
We have changed our ways.
Yeah. And you're quite right. There are a lot of there's a lot of evidence around from open sewers and all of those sorts of things that we don't have now.
Well, now we've got treatment systems which take our sewage and we can actually put it back into our catchments and then recycle the whole thing. And it's quite acceptable water quality and quite acceptable practice because we have changed our ways. Plastic is probably the next big one for the marine systems, if we can get rid of persistent plastics. We don't have to get rid of all plastics.
So what plastics are okay?
So anything which is made out of cellulites or anything which actually is physically biodegradable. That's not degradable as in plastic which falls to bits.
Yes, smaller and smaller particles.
This is plastic which is designed or manufactured in such a way that normal organic detritus, breaking down of that plastic, can happen within the normal ecosystem. So it's just persistent plastics and single use, if we can get off single use. Actually, I don't mind a beer, so I went up to the Yamundi Beer Festival, which was all the local breweries, and they had a great initiative. You bought yourself a cup for $3. And it saves something like 30,000 disposable plastic cups
I know,
on the
and
day.
it's fabulous. And the Woodford Folk Festival do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, particularly on that large scale. And I guess that's where that hope comes from, and the where we can see that we're doing something better is on those large scale events. Where those changes can happen.
And the small scale. So the key there is the consumers. For many years, I thought it was lobbying and protesting. That has its place.
Yes.
Right? And I take my hat off to those people. But it's not very pragmatic. It's not practical. It brings attention, which is great. But what I've come to realise, it's about the consumers. Consumers can change their habits overnight. Nokia is a great case of an example.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Nokia. It was a company which was working on smaller phones, smaller screens, and then along came Apple.
Yes.
And Nokia said, oh no one will ever buy those big phones. We used to make them 10 years ago.
That's right.
And
that's right, they were. Bricks.
And overnight, everybody said, oh, we'll have a smartphone with a screen and we can do all this stuff. And there's more computing power in my pocket right now than there is in the first computer I bought at university.
That's right.
30 years ago. And Nokia disappeared until the point Microsoft needed a phone company and to bring in their smartphones, so they brought the company in, and away it goes.
Yes.
But it was a world leader in mobile phone technology, which just fell away because they didn't innovate and they didn't meet consumer demand.
That's right, and the consumers just launched off into another direction.
So that's my focus right now, is bringing consumers information. So when people come to do my course, that's the 20%. They're the people who are passionate about the environment. They come to those TAFE courses, to the universities, do the environmental sciences, the conservation, land management, and those. They're great people. There's 60% of the population which want something positive done about the climate, pollution and the future.
Yes.
They don't know what to do and they seem to say it's someone else's problem. And then you've got the 20% who don't care. Yeah. And we're never going to change them. Let them be happy. But if we can educate those people,
that 60%.
in the 60%, and So about 2011, I went, right, how do I do that? Now, I was heavily involved in junior football,
Yes.
right? Community football here in Palmwoods. We used to do a newsletter and an email out, and we communicated to the community. About 2011, all the printed newsletters stayed on the site. No one knew anything.
Yes.
They weren't reading their emails. Okay. So I went up to the kids to say, what's going on? And they said, well, we don't do emails, we do social media.
That's right. That's right.
So we looked around, and the club was one of the first clubs to embrace social media as a way to communicate with their clubs, their club members, with the teams and with the players about what was happening. So I learned some skills there, and I thought, wow, this is a way to communicate to the broader public.
That's right. Masses of people.
Masses of people. So we started the First Step Change Agents brand.
Okay. First step change agents.
Yes, first step to change future.
Yes.
So that was the idea. And what I would do is I'd take the content which I was teaching in my courses, find popular articles or videos or something which fitted that content,
Yes.
which had good sound, scientific and proven, peer-reviewed backing for it.
Yes.
And I'd find those popular articles and I'd put it on social media and say, look, this is what's happening to start.
Yeah, so you're curating
Curating content.
the information for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so how is that going?
Well, pretty good. It's evolving.
Yes.
So from 2011, because at first it was just thing, and now we write.
Yep.
All right, and we continue to try and spread the message that the consumer has the power. If they move away, if everybody stopped buying disposable plates at the supermarket for parties tomorrow,
Yes.
plastic plates, they
Then-
wouldn't carry them.
That's right, they'd stop making them.
If you they'd just stop making them.
They'd stop making them.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you just went into Woolworths tomorrow and said, where are the bamboo or the banana leaf pressed plates,
Yes.
disposable plates, which I can compost,
Yeah.
and they say we don't have any, and walk out, and you keep leaving that stock in the shelf, they will swap change.
Of course they will. Of course they will.
Yes.
It's incredible, isn't it? We have
Yes.
so much power, really, when we think about
Yeah.
it.
And the other one I found was politicians are followers. I firmly believe that, right? If the people move, the politicians will go, oh, they're moving over that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what they're doing.
Okay.
Right, and then I will be their champion, and so talk to the people in the community. Talk to Severin Suzuki says it. Severin Suzuki did the 1972 Rio address. She was 15 years old.
Yes.
Remember the
Yes,
video
yes.
on YouTube? And she thought she could, if she could talk to the leaders of the world, then change would happen. But now she realises you talk to the community, you start with yourself, you get yourself and your own psyche right, you get your family right, you get your community,
And
then
comes
it
out
moves
from
out,
there.
and eventually the politicians and the companies and everybody will follow. That's what I firmly believe. And if I can change one person's life to sustainability, then I'm on the right path.
Yeah, and people do it in different ways, don't they? So some people will focus their attention on eliminating plastic from their life, and others will focus on planting 1 million trees and so on and so forth. I guess that the information that you're pulling together will give us an opportunity of seeing all of the different ways that we can make improvements. Is that
Yes,
is that
so
right?
we look at everything from plastics, oceans to tree planting to new technologies which are coming online, right? We've gone to the stage where we're monetising it.
Okay.
So going back to the three
Pillars.
right? What I've come to realise that, and this is so true if you look at it from any angle. Any society which is under financial stress is not looking after the environment.
That's right.
Okay.
It's the same in your own household.
Yes.
If your family is under financial stress, then it's very hard to make decisions rationally on any level, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And you're really just in that survival mode.
Yeah, and you lower your horizons
Yeah.
to the very next hour, depending on where your stress levels are. You know, might be the day, might be the week, might be the next hour. And most Australians are probably 6 weeks off bankruptcy.
Yes.
They had no income coming in, you know.
That's right. And when that financial support is there, it enables you to be creative, more community-minded.
Think about what you're purchasing, you know.
Make some choices,
You know,
better choices.
Yeah, make better choices. When you go to the supermarket and you're under financial stress, it's what's the cheapest.
That's right.
Right. Let's get out of here with the least amount of stress for me. But if we can get control of the finances, right, and we can use that model, use the tool to look after ourselves and our society and protect the environment. So we've got electric bikes. So one of the things I started doing, I needed to monetize first step change agents. I need to see how it can become part of the economic system. Otherwise, it's just a lobby group, or it's not actually engaging in sustainability if it's not being producing a real outcome. So a while ago, I was at this clean tech conference when Dr. Carl was talking, and I put my business card in the bowl, you know, to draw out the prizes for the conference goers.
Yes.
And we won a afternoon riding electric bikes at Noosa for two.
Okay.
And I looked at my wife and we weren't very fit, you know.
Getting on a bike wasn't one of your priorities, was it?
No. And I went, fair enough. So we were sitting on a Tuesday afternoon, we were sitting there, it was actually about lunchtime, and I said to my wife, what do you want to do this afternoon? Because we have date day.
Okay.
Right?
That's nice.
So we have once a week we try to have a date day and go and do something as a date to maintain our relationship.
Yeah, nice.
What do you want to do? And she was going, I don't know. Anyway, I said, well, we've got this prize. Why don't we go up, ride these bikes? If we don't like it, we can return it in 15 minutes, no loss, and we'll just go and have a coffee at the Esplanade or something. So we went up, got the bikes off Darren Walters from Ecotech Noosa, and just loved it.
Okay.
Rode all on bike paths, and we didn't know this at the time, but Sunshine Coast Council and Noosa councils have over...
It's extensive, isn't it?
You can go from Bells Creek all the way to Tewantin.
Wow. And it's exhilarating too, isn't it?
Oh,
Being
absolutely.
on a bike is exhilarating.
Yeah, so that's what we were unfit, but we had this tremendous sense of achievement.
Yes.
Right? Even when we went to hills, the little electric motor would kick in, so we weren't exhausted, and we just had this euphoric feeling of all the endorphins, all the happy serotonin in our body from the exercise without the lactic acid and the fatigue which comes along with it.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, you put someone on an electric bike and next thing they're smiling. So we got back to Darren and I just said to him, I said, you know, we're looking at something to do with our brand. Is anyone doing this on the Sunshine Coast? And he said, yeah. And I went, oh, well, if that deal falls through, come and talk to me. So I didn't hear from him for about 18 months, and I run into him at another conference and I said, how did the partners go for the Sunshine Coast? And he says, oh, that deal fell through. And I said, man, why didn't you ring me?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Yeah, so we started the little electric bike hire business, which fits in under the sustainability brand, and that allows people to have a relaxing time without using the car.
Yeah, okay.
Right? People can fly up from Sydney, book the flight, book the bike for 3 days. The bike will do 50k radius or 25k radius, 50 k's total, so 25 out, 25 back for the day. And if you ride 50 k's and you're not fit, you're doing well, right? And you can have basically zero impact because we charge our houses, of course, on solar. We do all the right. So that kind of brings us back to that question which you asked before I got there, which was, what can people do?
Yes.
You don't have to do everything. You do not have to be the sustainability Nazi to affect change. All you've got to do is make better choices as a consumer, cut certain things out, right? Try to avoid single-use plastics as much as possible, but
Yes.
sometimes you can't. Don't beat yourself up. Do the recycling. Find out what your local authority has, what is recyclable, what is not, what glass, what paper, what. Do that and try to do that to the best of your ability. Okay, plant as much trees and avoid grass, like this beautiful place here.
Got a lot of trees.
Yeah, trees and reduce your mowing and everything like that.
Yes.
And then look to replace all your equipment with batteries or other as you move forward. You know, I talk with the conservation land management students. You know, we've been talking about safety and machinery safety and all that kind of stuff. And if they can move to battery powered, they can avoid fuel spills, they can avoid the constant contact with fuel.
Yes.
Now, it's all right to fill your car
Yes, with fuel once a week. Yes.
But to have it on your hands or your skins every day whilst you walk, you run real risk of cancers and diseases.
Yeah, of course.
It is not a nice chemical whatsoever. So if you can move to that, and then you end up with quieter communities because there's a lot of the lawnmowers running and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
When you go on holidays, look for alternatives in terms of transport, like electric bikes, or can you just use Uber instead of hiring a car?
Yep.
Right. We went to Los Angeles a while back. When you fly, do the carbon offset.
Yes.
Right. Just do that as a matter. That's part of your ticket, right? Because that carbon offset goes to a community normally in a third or developing country, and helps them build up their economy, right? Bring them out of poverty. When they're out of poverty, they start looking at how they can improve their environment. Okay, and then you've got that knock-on effect.
Yeah,
so we're in Los Angeles, and the cost of Ubering was less than the parking fees I would have had if I hired a car for the 4 or 5 days we were
that's
there.
incredible.
Right? Because we just went, to...
and then you've reduced all of the stress around even finding that park that's so expensive.
Yeah. So, there's lots of solutions you can put in place. Carpool, try and carpool.
Yep.
Right, there's heaps of carpooling apps.
Yes.
Especially from this, a lot of people on the Sunshine Coast go to Brisbane. Even carpooling between here and, say, the Landsborough train station.
Really? Okay.
Get yourself a carpooling app. There's lots of people doing that trip.
That's brilliant.
Right. What else can you do? You can grow your own veggies.
Yes.
If you don't have that space, try and look for farmers markets where they're actually farmers markets.
Yes.
Right. Don't go to the farmers market and buy the guy who's just gone down to Brisbane.
Yeah, to pick it up.
Pick it up. Okay. Go there, find out, get to know those people and find out where they're getting their stock from, where they're getting, and buy locally. Reduce the food miles. Interesting bit of trivia. The average Australian meal is something like 5,000 or 6,000. I've forgotten the actual figure.
Yes.
Food miles on the plate.
Yes.
For a meal.
Yes.
Right? And you think, here we are in our country with this great agricultural industry, and our dinner plate has have all these food miles in
That's
it.
right. That's right. There's such a lot to take in, Stuart, isn't there? And I think that so many of us are doing our best and thinking about how we can even do better. So how can people find out about the work that you're doing, and where can they find this information?
So at this point in time, we have First Step Change Agents on Facebook. So it's at 1ST Step Change Agents.
Okay.
Don't put ONE, put 1ST.
Yeah. Okay.
So at First Step Change Agents, you can have a look at our page, join our community.
Yep.
One thing I would like to say, and what we've actually found, is a very innovative transport system being developed by a Belarusian company, which has got huge potential in terms of reducing communities' public transport, and that you'll find information on that on our page. We're very excited about that.
Okay.
Don't let that put you off.
Yes.
There is lots of other information in there.
Yeah.
If you want to find out about that, of course we'll help you with that, but the page is more about all types of sustainable
Wonderful.
either information and or practices you can put in place.
Yeah.
Good one is string bags,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Get string bags for your shopping bags, not the polythene ones.
That's
Get it
right,
made-
because they still have to go somewhere when they're not used anymore. Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks, Stuart. My guest today was Stuart Whitney, and there's so much information there. It's fantastic. I'm going to jump onto that Facebook site straight away and join up. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
You should be saying to people, just change to green power. Just go to your power company and say, I want 100% renewable. They will build renewable things, right? And the coal industry will slow down. And
How do we make sure that they do that, though?
it's audited.
Okay.
It's the national carbon.